Yeah, so, we've already talked about the Pokemon that both players have on their team, so I do want to break into the matchup a little bit. I think, once again, Celesteela is going to be an absolute key Pokemon for Wolfe, and wouldn't be too surprised to see him maybe even lead it next to something like Tapu Koko, Rayquaza, or the Incineroar. On Graham's end, he has focused very much on the Mega Medicham and Lunala lead to prioritize getting a quick Tailwind up, and I think Tailwind is still the main strategy of this game. Graham's going to have to watch out for the Celesteela. For that reason, he's probably going to want to bring Pokemon that have a good matchup against it. We saw the Tapu Koko and the Kyogre being the last two members of his team when he brought it against Aaron a couple of days ago, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see him stick with the same composition.
Yeah, and of course, Mega Medicham does have access to a very powerful high jump kick. It can do so much damage to that Celesteela, but you do have to watch out for the possibility of a Protect, so that is something that Graham's going to have to be a little bit cautious with in terms of using that Mega Medicham to try to throw out some big damage onto the board, and both players have selected the teams, and here we go. It looks like, there it is, Aaron, that Medicham and that Lunala lead for Graham, while Wolfe leads with Celesteela and Rayquaza, just as you predicted.
Yeah, so prioritizing the heavy offense here immediately. Medicham, of course, can fake out one of these two users, and Lunala can go for a Tailwind immediately, but that will mean that either Celesteela or Rayquaza will get a huge attack off. I don't think a Celesteela Heavy Slam will be able to knock out the Medicham, of course, but you can do around 80% of damage or so, maybe even put it into extreme speed KO range here. So for this first turn, I think Medicham is definitely going to want to go for a fake out, maybe guaranteed to Tailwind, and Lunala, of course, can go for the Tailwind, but maybe it also just opts to Z-move the Celesteela immediately.
Mega Medicham is going to go ahead and take the field here, going to get an increase in its stats, boosting its already huge attack stat. As Medicham goes for the fake out here, it is going to land into that Celesteela slot here. Going to go ahead and make it flinch as Lunala uses a turn to set up a Tailwind, but this opens up an opportunity for this Rayquaza to just pick up the KO on that Mega Medicham.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and there it is.
There it is, yeah.
So Rayquaza now using Dragon Ascent, not even opting to Mega Evolve just yet, hitting straight into that Mega Medicham slot and gets a big one-hit knockout.
Yeah, so we don't get to see as much from this Mega Medicham, unfortunately. Does get the fast fake out off, and of course this does give Graham a free switch in. Whatever is coming in will be able to take advantage of Tailwind for 3 full turns, but for example, Kyogre, obviously a really, really strong Pokemon, but Celesteela can protect it decently well through Wide Guard. So Graham's going to have to make sure he calls these Wide Guards as he does bring in the Kyogre. We also did see that the Rayquaza, interestingly enough, didn't go for the Mega Evolution immediately. So by going for the Mega now, you will be able to win the Weather War and have the strong winds up. And that's actually a really big deal because Wolfe's Rayquaza, of course, does have the strong winds and the Assault Vest. And so it will be able to take an Ice Beam even at -1 special defense. So great decision not to Mega Evolve there.
Yeah, and of course you are tempted to Mega Evolve just to get that speed boost and of course get those increased stats. But again, as you said, a smart play right there from Wolfe.
So this turn is going to be really big. Celesteela, of course, has the option to protect. It can also go for a Wide Guard. If Graham decides to double up into the Rayquaza with a Moongeist Beam and an Ice Beam, that will be a knockout despite the Assault Vest. So Graham has to make the call here. Do you predict the Celesteela to go for a Protect and double up into Rayquaza? Or even if it doesn't Protect, do you go for the Ice Beam instead of the Origin Pulse? I think it is relatively safe to Moongeist Beam and Ice Beam Rayquaza, but Wolfe, of course, can take advantage of that by switching out into something like Incineroar.
Yeah, so Incineroar here going to go ahead and take the field. We'll be able to take those Ice Beams way better than that Rayquaza here. The Intimidate is not going to matter at all onto the Kyogre or the Lunala. Both very specially focused here as Celesteela goes for a Wide Guard here just to cover the option of a possible Origin Pulse or Water Spout in the rain into that Incineroar, but it looks like it's going to be a menacing Moonraze Maelstrom here from this Lunala. Gonna go ahead and try to deal out some big damage if it lands in that Celesteela.
Yeah, who is it going into? That's the big question. Targeting Celesteela here would be a huge, huge win for Graham instead of just wasting it on the Incineroar switch in. So we'll see who this targets, because Incineroar switching into it would be a great play on Wolfe's end.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a great
defense. Oh,
it's Celesteela!
What an excellent play there from Graham.
So that is going to be sort of punishing here towards that Celesteela. Did not protect, opted for a Wide Guard instead. Now going to be taking some big damage. Celesteela, of course, a very bulky Pokemon, should be able to hang on, but the fact that it's been dealt so much damage just might not have it have that staying power, and Celesteela just barely hangs on with a sliver of hit points, and Kyogre goes for an Ice Beam here. Where's it going?
Celesteela, what a play by Graham!
What a play!
Phenomenal play. Wow, that was incredible. Graham going for that because, of course, the Rayquaza is a major threat, but a Dragon Ascent won't knock out the Lunala nor the Kyogre, especially because it's not boosted by something like a Life Orb or a Choice Band. So Graham making such a good play there. To be able to get rid of Celesteela this early on is a major, major victory, especially because that means Wolfe no longer has the support of wide guard. Of course, Incineroar does have the pressure of fake out. You can only fake out the Kyogre, but you probably should in this position. Main thing is, Graham is taking advantage of that Tailwind, and that was just an excellent play, knocking out the Celesteela there, really paving the way for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, and that Shadow Shield on Lunala is still intact here, so it will be able to take any hit very handily. Rayquaza now Mega Evolving, going to go ahead and change that weather, going to go ahead and, you know, reduce those flying type weaknesses with that Delta Stream and those mysterious winds. So Kyogre's Ice Beam, as you mentioned, will not be able to get the KO, as Kyogre here safely just protects itself, going to prevent it from taking a fake out or even a big hit from that Rayquaza here. But no fake out from Incineroar. Side Shock from that Lunala hits into that Rayquaza, doing big damage since it's on its physical spectrum there, as Icy Wind from Rayquaza is revealed. Going to go ahead and slow things down a little bit, and also go ahead and break that Shadow Shield. Going to go ahead and open up Graham's Lunala to a possible Dark-type attack from the Incineroar here, as here comes a Darkest Lariat from this Incineroar, lands into that Lunala slot. How much damage is this going to do to this Lunala, who is so bulky? Lunala gets KO'd from that range.
Oh, excellent play there by Wolfe to counter Graham's excellent play from the previous turn. That was really, really well done. I think Graham, going for the Protect there on Kyogre, doesn't want to take a fake out and something like a Dragon Ascent. So Wolfe reading into that, doesn't care, gets the knockout onto Lunala, which is, of course, a major threat. Graham is down to the last two Pokemon, but of course, Tailwind is still up. There is no fake out pressure now. And yeah, I mean, Tapu Koko, a great Pokemon to have in right now. Incineroar doesn't really have too much of offensive presence. Of course, can go for some chip damage with the Darkest Lariat onto Kyogre, but the key thing here is Rayquaza's Assault Vest, so it can't protect, and Graham can use that knowledge to definitely target that slot. We haven't seen too much of Graham's Tapu Koko, but this is a very, very close game. Both players really trading blows back and forth.
And Rayquaza now using Extreme Speed, going to go ahead and throw out some damage on that Kyogre, about 30% right there, as Tapu Koko reveals Wild Charge, as the Mysterious Winds weaken the amount of damage that Wild Charge does to their Rayquaza, bring it down to about a quarter of its hit points, as Tapu Koko takes some recall here, as Kyogre goes for a Water Spout. How much damage is this going to do to this Rayquaza and Incineroar? Rayquaza takes absolutely nothing, as Incineroar hangs on as well. So, you know, Incineroar now using U-turn, going to go ahead and land into that Kyogre and going to go ahead and switch out.
Nice play there, really on both ends. So Wolfe going for the Extreme Speed, making sure that the Water Spout does less damage, and you see just how great the Assault Vest is there. Both Pokemon being able to hang on, and Wolfe's last Pokemon is revealed. It is that Tapu Koko, and that's a really great Pokemon to have out right now, because Tailwind just petered out, and Tapu Koko on Graham's end shouldn't really be able to do too much to Wolfe's Tapu Koko. So I think Wolfe's actually positioned himself really, really well. And even though he did lose that Celesteela earlier on the game, the excellent double up into Lunala and Kyogre not getting any mileage off there means that Wolfe is actually in a pretty commanding position, because the Tapu Koko can safely target down the opposing Kyogre slot. And I'm not sure Graham's Tapu Koko can even two-hit KO Wolfe's.
Yeah, so tough spot right now for Graham. He's going to have to try to find some way to adjust his board position or go to the drawing board for game 2 already. So it's tough. I mean, once you're down to your last two Pokemon, you don't really have much defensive pivoting that you can do with switches. So Wolfe still with that Incineroar. Obviously, cycling those Intimidates are not going to matter, but getting those fake out pressures back are going to be important, as well as Kyogre here from Graham's side. Going to go ahead and protect itself here. Not going to want to take a Thunderbolt from that Tapu Koko, as it does land into that Kyogre Protect, as Tapu Koko over on Graham's side goes again for a Wild Charge, hitting in that Rayquaza, gets the KO from that range. So big knockout right there to bring it down to 2-2.
Yeah, the thing is, though, however, of course, Wolfe will be able to bring in the Incineroar, will be able to go for, of course, a fake out, and you can just launch a Thunderbolt once again freely into like Kyogre slot with no means of speed control from Graham's end. Then the Tapu Koko, once again, on Wolfe's side is just faster than everything. So really, really well managed by Wolfe. Good board positioning. And yes, the knockout onto Rayquaza is nice, but once again, the Tapu Koko on the opposing side is still just faster. And so I'm just not sure if Graham has enough damage output to beat the Tapu Koko at this point.
Yeah, so again, tough position here. Incineroar can just go for that fake out. And Tapu Koko on Wolfe's side just ready to deal as much damage as it really wants to.
Yeah, you know, if it had a speed decrease move, here's a double
protect.
No
double protect for Kyogre, though, as Incineroar now uses Fake Out. Going to land in that Tapu Koko. Going to go ahead and make it flinch, as Wolfe's Tapu Koko now uses Thunderbolt on that Kyogre, boosted by the Electric Train, gets a KO from that range, and it's going to come down to Graham's Tapu Koko versus two more Pokemon on Wolfe's side. So tough spot right here for Graham.
Yeah, it looked pretty difficult. I don't think Graham really had too many options after the beginning, or after Tailwind expired. Wolfe brought out Tapu Koko exactly out at the right point, and Yeah, I mean, even though Graham made such a nice read knocking out that Celesteela, Wolfe really countered with it immediately with the excellent read with the Icy Wind and the Darkest Lariat. And that is a really big deal because Graham basically didn't get enough out of his turns of Tailwind, even though he did get that knockout onto Celesteela. Had Kyogre gone for a big water spout off that turn, that actually could have decided the game. But of course, it's really difficult to go for a play like that because Wolfe could have just went for Fake Out, Dragon Ascended the Kyogre, and then it would be an Extreme Speed KO range in this next turn. So.
Yeah, and here comes a Twinkle Tackle from Wolfe's side. So going to go ahead and just ensure that the KO onto Graham's opposing Tapu Koko is able to ensure his victory here in Game 1. Of course, that is more information for Graham to know that the Tapu Koko is actually carrying that Twinkle Tackle attack. So that should wrap it up here for Game 1 between Wolfe and Graham. Wolfe taking it in pretty good fashion, although Graham did claw it back here as Tapu Koko hangs on with just a sliver of hit points. Going to go ahead and go for a Wild Charge in that Incineroar. Again, more recoil, but here comes Incineroar's Darkest Lariat, and that will do it for Game 1 here. Wolfe Glick takes it.
Yeah, that was a really, really fun game, though. I felt like both players were making really nice plays, and you can see Wolfe's game plan. I was actually a little bit surprised to see the Fake Out have gone into Celesteela in the beginning of that game, just giving up Medicham for free, but it certainly makes sense on Graham's end, because if the Celesteela is heavy slamming the Medicham, then actually it's just an Extreme Speed KO range the next turn. So, I mean, Graham kind of has to go back to the drawing board. Is he comfortable leading with just Medicham and Lunala again? Because Wolfe's strategy has basically been to knock out the Medicham, which puts on so much pressure against everything that he has. Of course, had Graham made 2 of the reads back-to-back, you know, we saw that really, really great double up into Celesteela, but had he targeted and attacked with Kyogre the next turn, then probably would have won this game, to be honest, but it's really difficult to make 2 reads like that back-to-back, especially against a player like Wolfe. So, yeah, the question is Graham willing to go back to the drawing board and give up Medicham immediately, or does he maybe want to switch it up a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, one thing that Graham might want to look into is possibly protecting that Mega Medicham a little bit better. You know, he kind of just threw out that Fake Out, but then after that, it got KO'd immediately, really removing a lot of offensive pressure from Graham's side of the field.
Yeah, certainly. You know, one thing that is kind of interesting is that the Rayquaza there didn't Mega Evolve, so maybe if you think Wolfe's not going to Mega Evolve the Rayquaza again, you can actually double up into the Rayquaza with Medicham and Lunala and potentially knock it out before he can even get an attack off. That could be interesting because then, yeah, even if Celesteela heavy slams the Medicham, it won't be in threat of something like an Extreme Speed, and you'll still have the Shadow Shield. So really curious to see how Graham adjusts here. Medicham and Lunala certainly still work, so just have to play it a little bit differently or make a bunch of really great reads while the Tailwind turns are up.
And here we go now, jumping into Game 2 between these 2 players in the Masters Division Finals, Graham versus Wolfe. Graham here trying to force a Game 3 as Wolfe leads with Rayquaza and Celesteela yet again as Graham leads with Medicham and Lunala. How is this game going to play out differently than Game 1?
Yeah, so once again, of course, Graham has the option to go for the Fake Out onto either of these. Last time we saw it go into Rayquaza, and you trade Medicham for Tailwind, basically. I mean, that's going to be difficult to go for again because even though, once again, Graham made the perfect read on that first turn, and that's a tough read to make. I mean, Wolfe maybe wants to protect the Celesteela a little bit better this time around, then, yeah, you're not really going to get very far. So, like I mentioned, if you expect Rayquaza to not Mega Evolve, maybe you actually double up into it here and just try to get a knockout while just taking 60 to 80% of damage from Heavy Slam onto Medicham. You can even switch out the Medicham into something like, I mean, Tapu Koko, but I don't really think a switch is really great here, but I think Wolfe is almost always doubling up into Medicham here.
Yeah, and it looks like Mega Rayquaza is going to go ahead and take the field here. Going to go ahead and just Mega Evolve right off the bat and become the fastest Pokemon onto the field, which could be problematic here if Graham decides to go into the offensive here. Rayquaza going to go ahead and activate that Delta Stream, bring out those mysterious winds that help it be so bulky as Medicham now Mega Evolves as well. Is that Fake Out going to go into Rayquaza? Is it just going to be another Dragon Ascent KO onto that Mega Medicham? This is going to be so close here as the turn now plays off the Fake Out. Rayquaza goes for a Dragon Ascent.
Oh my goodness.
Hits into that Medicham and gets the big one-hit knockout. Wow. Graham not really doing much with that Medicham at all. Just 2 consecutive one-hit KOs on the first turn as Rayquaza's defenses drop here. And now the rest of the turn is going to play out, but Graham loses a lot of offensive power. Lunala content with just going for a Tailwind here. Just going to go ahead and try to set up. And it looks like Celesteela going to go for a Heavy Slam. That is going to go ahead and break that Shadow Shield onto that Lunala.
Yeah, so had Graham gone for the same play this first turn, it actually would have worked out better than the first game because Rayquaza did choose the Mega Evolve, so you get Kyogre in and Ice Beam would guarantee... Oh, Ice Beam here still, of course, will knock out the Rayquaza, but the main thing is you've lost Shadow Shield on Lunala. So Yeah, going for the play that we were talking about before the start of this game, maybe hoping to double up into Rayquaza, hoping he doesn't Mega Evolve, and hoping to just get a knockout. But Wolfe decides to play it safe this time, goes for the Mega Evolution, and probably gets the most that he could have out of that turn. Free knockout onto the Medicham, and breaking the Shadow Shield here is a really, really big deal. Of course, now he is at -1 special defense, and the rain is up, so an Ice Beam will be able to knock it out. So Wolfe has to make the call, you know, am I basically protecting Celesteela this time around, or am I just going to go for the same play last time? And is Graham going to call it double up into Celesteela with the Z move and Ice Beam once again, or does he go for something like a Water Spout, knowing that Rayquaza is going to switch out? And if you think Rayquaza is going to stay in, do you just Ice Beam the Rayquaza? Because now, of course, it still gets all these strong Dragon Ascents off.
Yeah, so tough play right now from Graham's side. Tough decision that he has to make here. You know, it's tempting to chase down that Rayquaza with an Ice Beam just to try to get the KO on a huge offense threat over on Wolfe's side of the field. So here comes Rayquaza, going to go ahead and switch out, going to go ahead and switch into Incineroar, and is it going to be another play of Celesteela going for a wide guard to protect that Incineroar switch, as this, again, this Intimidate does not matter against this Lunala or this Kyogre. And here we go as the turn continues. Celesteela going for a wide guard. Is it going to play out just like it did in game one here, as Lunala just going for a regular Moongeist Beam, gonna go ahead and target down into that Celesteela slot, I believe, just to get some damage out onto the field. No, actually goes for that Incineroar slot, so it's not very effective at all as Kyogre goes for a Water Spout, but that is going to be protected by that wide guard.
Yeah, great play by Wolfe there. He actually goes for the exact same strategy as the first game, but I think that makes a lot of sense from his end. Even if Graham doubles up into a Celesteela, this time you're actually a little bit further ahead. Like, Celesteela will go down, but now you have Incineroar out, you can bring Rayquaza back out, and Lunala doesn't have its Shadow Shield anymore, so it's kind of the same mind games from the first game, but even more in your favor now. And with Graham going for that Water Spout last turn, Wolfe is in a really fantastic position to stall out this Tailwind. You can go for a relatively free fake out. Celesteela could even protect here if it wants to bypass a potential Z move from the Lunala, but Graham actually maybe reading into this and switching out into Tapu Koko.
Tapu Koko takes the field, gonna go ahead and activate that electric terrain here and boost its electric type attacks as the Lunala switches out. Does not want to get KO'd just yet, as Celesteela goes for a wide guard again to protect that Incineroar. So this Kyogre not able to go for those really powerful Origin Pulses or Water Spouts, content with just going for an Ice Beam here to chip away at that Celesteela, doing some good damage as Incineroar now goes for a Darkest Lariat into what was that Lunala slot. Not very effective damage, so a smarter switch right there, preserving that Lunala for later on.
Yeah, excellent play there from Graham, I think. Instead of just getting baited into knocking out the Celesteela, committing the Z move, knows that he needs to conserve it for the remainder of the game. Tapu Koko, really a great switch in here, and one for many reasons. Of course, it has super effective attacks off against the Celesteela, and an electric type attack might just be able to knock it out if Rayquaza doesn't switch in. Also means that Wolfe just can't click wide guard for free.
Yeah, so Incineroar now switches out. It looks like a Rayquaza switch is going to be the play here for Wolfe, as Rayquaza switches back in. The Mysterious Winds are going to go ahead and replace that Heavy Rain. So again, that Delta Stream so important in preserving this Rayquaza here, as Celesteela goes for another wide guard to protect from a possible Dazzling Gleam, possibly from Tapu Koko, but instead here comes a Nature's Madness, going to go ahead and land in that Celesteela, taking down 50% from where it was as Kyogre goes for a Water Spout, but again, protected by that wide guard.
Yeah, these wide guards have been so huge, and Graham has been choosing to kind of walk into it, but you can't really fault him for that because there's so many mind games with Celesteela, but Wolfe really content just to spam it, and it's been working out quite nicely. We talked about it before the match started, but this match would really come down to a question of how Wolfe can handle this Tailwind. And once again, he's been able to stall out the first couple of turns and the first Tailwind. And it will be a lot more difficult for Graham to set up this second Tailwind if he wants to, because there is no fake out support from the Medicham. So really nice play once again, but still not in the clear. Of course, Rayquaza here does threaten Kyogre, but not with an immediate knockout. Here's an Electro Web.
Yeah, so Electro Web now lands onto both the Celesteela and the Rayquaza. Of course, that Mysterious Wind also protecting that Celesteela. So, you know, it's going to go ahead and slow things down just a little bit. One stage is decreased speed for both of these Pokemon. That's going to be really important later on, since Rayquaza is such a speed Pokemon, as Dragon Ascent from this Mega Rayquaza now is going to go ahead and land into that Primal Kyogre and do some big damage right there. Kyogre hangs on with 30% of its hit points as Rayquaza's defenses drop, as Kyogre now goes for a Water Spout that is going to be connecting here. Big damage on that Celesteela. Well, nope, because it was damaged, but Celesteela hangs on. Celesteela now goes for a Heavy Slam. It is going to go ahead and hit into that Tapu Koko slot. Does good damage right there. Tapu Koko hangs on with about 30% of its hit points.
Yeah, but this is certainly a better turn for Wolfe. You have put to Tapu Koko most certainly in extreme speed KO range. Kyogre, it looks really, really close, but fantastically managed. I really like the Electro Web. I'm actually shocked we didn't see it in the end of that first game because that's exactly what I think Graham needed to maybe have a shot at it. But yeah, no Electro Web reveal until just now, and things are really, really getting quite low on Graham's end. Wolfe still has a potential fourth Pokemon in the back. You'd imagine it is that Tapu Koko. If it is, then it will be able to just outspeed and knock things out. So a really, really great turn there by Wolfe. Graham gets something off, but I don't know, the Rayquaza is just putting in so much work, and you can click extreme speed now.
Yeah.
Or you could just switch out. I mean, there's so many options, right? Like Wolfe still has all his Pokemon intact.
Yeah, and that is tough, and that is just one thing that Wolfe is so well known for, just being able to switch out freely, just picking the best defensive switches that he can possibly make. And here comes Wolfe's Tapu Koko, just ready to clean up as Tapu Koko over on Graham's side now, using Nature's Madness connects onto Wolfe's Tapu Koko. Gonna go ahead and bring it down to 50% of its remaining hit points.
Oh, it's faster
goes for an
still.
Ice Beam, gonna go ahead and hit onto that Tapu Koko slot. Tapu Koko does not hang on, gets KO'd there, but Celesteela does get to move here. Gonna go for a heavy slam, and it is gonna go ahead and slam right into that Tapu Koko and get the KO and get a beast boost.
Yeah, you know, Celesteela just exerting so much pressure. I think like Wolfe is content with that trade because now it's 3 down to 2. And Rayquaza, more importantly, still has the Assault Vest, will be able to get strong wings intact, and an Ice Beam from the Kyogre won't knock it out this time. Celesteela is also healing back from leftovers every turn a little bit consistently as well. So one of the questions I have is Extreme Speed going to do enough damage to the Kyogre? Looks really, really close, honestly. If not, I mean, Rayquaza still pressures Lunala, of course, with something like a Dragon Ascent. The Celesteela is slowed down, but it already was going to be slower. Rayquaza right now, of course, the fastest Pokemon on the field. Giving up Tapu Koko does mean that you give up the fastest Pokemon, but the thing is, you'll notice that Incineroar defeats Lunala, and Lunala really can't touch Incineroar at all. So all Wolfe really needs to do is find a way to knock out this Kyogre, and Incineroar should be able to win this game.
Yep, and of course, Graham on the other side now has to prioritize protecting that Kyogre to be able to deal with that Incineroar in the back. So that's going to be priority number 1 for Graham, really, as Lunala needs to find a way to KO this Rayquaza. But like you said, it's still really healthy, still has that Assault Vest, and, you know, a menacing Moonraze Maelstrom. Is it going to be enough to KO that Rayquaza if Wolfe even allows that attack to even land?
Yeah, let's see. The Dragon Ascent does
go into the protect here. Kyogre does protect itself there, and it looks like the menacing Moonraze Maelstrom from Graham's Lunala here is going to go ahead and land. If it lands in that Rayquaza, the big question is how much damage is it going to do here?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to knock out with the Assault Vest, and Wolfe basically going for the safest play. Once again, you know Kyogre is the main threat because Incineroar will win against Lunala, so free to just click Dragon Ascent into that slot. Doesn't want to risk Extreme Speed, of course. You're faster than Kyogre anyway, so there's really no need to Extreme Speed, and you're faster than Lunala. So, you know, I think Graham going for the best play possible. I think it might come down to whether he's able to get a double protect off or not. If he is, then there is still an opportunity for him to potentially win the game, but Wolfe is still just in a very, very good position. No need to make any advanced predictions at this stage in the game. Let's see how much this does.
Big damage on that Rayquaza. Rayquaza hangs on so handily right there as Celesteela now using Heavy Slam. Gonna go ahead and connect into that Lunala. Broken the Shadow Shield earlier. Does big damage as well. Bringing Lunala down to about 30% right there. So, here comes some mind games. You know, Kyogre can go for the double protect, but of course, Rayquaza can also just easily protect as well and allow Wolfe's Celesteela just get the KO on that Lunala.
Yeah, I don't actually think Graham has a way to win this game at this point because you do have the wide guard on Celesteela, so even if Kyogre gets the double protect, Lunala's forced to knock out the Rayquaza, Celesteela will just knock out the Lunala, and then you have Incineroar versus Celesteela, and you can just click wide guard, Darkest Lariat, and Kyogre cannot touch the Incineroar. So
yep, Kyogre goes for protect here. It fails though, so it looks like Rayquaza's Dragon Ascent is going to connect onto this Kyogre, and this is it.
I mean, yeah, Wolfe's got to be able to taste the International Championship. He's so close, and yeah, I mean, Graham going for some plays here, but I just don't think it will be enough. Wolfe really just had to go for the safe options after making some really, really great reads earlier on in this game.
There's a KO on the Kyogre. Lunala here going for a Tailwind, but now this Celesteela gets to make a move. And it is going to be a Heavy Slam, lands into that Lunala, and Wolfe Glick is your North American International Champion.
Wow. 6-time regional champion, 2 times national champion, 1-time international champion, and of course world champion as well. Wolfe is really making a strong case for being the greatest player of all time in this game, and his accomplishments span from so many different years. I thought Graham made some really great plays as well, but the nature of hyper offense is you need to make multiple calls correct. And, you know, in that first game, Graham was looking so great, knocking out that Celesteela immediately, but Wolfe making such a great read, doubling up into Lunala with the Icy Wind, with the Darkest Lariat. That really sealed up that game. I just really would have liked to see the Electro Web in that first game. We saw it revealed in the second game, and I was thinking, okay, if there is a speed decreasing move like Electro Web, I mean, that's pretty much the only option, then you still have a chance there because then Kyogre can outspeed. But maybe based off how the Kyogre was trained, he knew even at -1 speed from the opposing Tapu Koko, Kyogre wouldn't outspeed, or maybe he just forgot it as an option. Not entirely sure. Either way, second game, you know, Wolfe once again making a really nice play, choosing to Mega Evolve immediately, getting the knockout immediately onto the Medicham, and then playing so well with the wide guards. We saw the Kyogre walk into wide guard so many times with Water Spout, and once again, you can't fault Graham for that. There's so many tricky mind games. There's a reason why Wolfe's been so good with the wide guard, with the Celesteela set, and wow, what a final set.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, as you mentioned, going back into game one, there definitely was an opportunity for that Electro Web to be used, to be revealed. That would have really been important. Of course, it, again, would have come down to whether or not that Tapu Koko would still outspeed the Kyogre on Graham's side. So you're right, maybe, you know, it is a very slow Kyogre that just really relies on that Tailwind in order to be able to outspeed other Pokemon. So again, close set from both players. Of course, we saw, you know, that hyper offensive playstyle from Graham. You know, in game two, he really went for it. You know, Mega Medicham didn't go for a fake out, just instead went on the offensive, and Wolfe just took advantage of it. And from there, he just had the best board position.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, credits to Graham for a remarkable tournament run using one of the most creative teams we've seen in a while. We didn't get to see Medicham used too well in this finals, and I think that's because Wolfe found a really good strategy to counteract it immediately from the get-go, and that is kind of speaks to is a testament to the preparation that Wolfe had coming into this day and coming into this championship match. But I believe we're actually ready to hear a little bit more from our brand new champion, Wolfe.
Wolfe, you have a lot of impressive wins under your belt in Pokemon, but what does this particular international championship win mean to you?
It means a lot. With this win, I'm now the first player to win a regional, a national, the World Championships, and also an international event. And just winning the event after having trouble with it, you know, so many of the past few years, I feel really amazing.
You said that you kept working and trying to improve and bring new things to your game. What was it that got you here today, you think?
Celesteela.
And why was that?
Well, to put it like simply, sometimes you're the Celesteela and sometimes the Celesteela eats you. It just beat everybody. The team was bad and Celesteela was very good.
I know there were a lot of people that helped you practice and get ready for this. Who are they, and do you want to say thanks?
Yes, Eduardo, Aaron, Brendan, Trey, Marcus, those guys all helped me immeasurably over the past few weeks, and also last night and this morning helping me prepare for the matchup. Really amazing friends, and I can't say thank you enough for all the help with that they provided.
You're now going to be headed off to Worlds, very well set for that event. What can we expect from you there?
I'm not entirely sure as to like what I'll be bringing, but you know, I feel like there's a good chance that I do well, and I you know, having won the World Championships the last time we had a similar format to this, I hope to make waves.
Great. Well, congratulations again. We wish you luck. Let's hear it one more time for your champion, Wolfe. Casters, back to you.